All right, let's break down forearm stand. So for me, forearm stand works better for me when I form a triangle with my arms. Classic variation is to have the forearms parallel. So you can play with that and see what works for you. But for me, because we need to anchor down into the inner edges of our forearms, I need to take my thumbs together to narrow off my shoulders. Just it's different based on everyone's shoulders flexibility. So what is important though is that the elbows stay in line with the shoulders, right? So if you're going to take the variation with the triangle, essentially what you're making is an equilateral triangle here through your forearms and the elbows. And you're going to need to press down into the thumbs and the pointer fingers a lot to seal down the entire forearm so that the forearms don't start to roll outwards, right? So you need to glue it down through the inner edge. So if you're coming into forearm stand, set it on up, elbows directly under the shoulders. So make sure the elbows aren't too narrow, they're not too wide, right? Because if they're super wide, it's hard to balance because you have a smaller triangle to balance on. And if they're too narrow, right, your architecture is off. The shoulders are no longer stacking, and so the elbows and the forearms aren't as supportive. So intelligent architecture, building stability from the ground up in the asana practice is super important. So find your sweet spot. For me, thumbs together, and then tuck your toes under, lift your feet up, and then you want to start to walk your feet in as close as you can towards the elbows, right? So then the shoulders are right over the elbows and the gaze is right down between the forearms. Lift a leg up, right? And so what happens a lot here is people do this huge flinging action, right? And your belly has no engagement and you over fling and then you flip over. And so what we want is more of an action of the bottom foot pressing the ground away from you and the strong reach up of the top leg. So it's using the ground for leverage, right? So more like pushing away. And maybe this is enough and you'll stay here. Or maybe you can get so much lift through the right leg that you might be able to float the bottom leg off. Keep pressing down to the thumbs. Keep pressing down to the elbows. Let the shoulders activate. And then rest. Right? And you can take a few tries there playing with that. And if you overflip, that's okay, right? Falling is part of the process. What will help is, again, the sealing down of the inner edges of the forearms and then pressing down into your elbows, because what you don't want is for the shoulders to sink in. You want to use the strength of your arms against the ground to help you keep the chest rising, right? And that will help you get more leverage. If you look back, it tends to be that the head might roll down. So looking forward of the thumbs or looking right between the forearms will allow you to keep lifting the chest up off of the ground. So play with that. Play with it for as long as you feel like it, but do give yourself a child's pose when you're done.